Visions of the Black Heaven, Chapter 15. While they were eating, Melody asked Duke what his company was and what did they make. Duke hesitated for a moment and thought, well, we're a manufacturing company. It is called CPU, Computerized Production Universal. We make or fabricate almost anything a company can or does order. However, our primary focus is research and development on a concept called CPU, Cryogenic Power Unit. Now Lynette looked at him and said, I've heard something about that. Duke looked a little surprised. Yes, that is where we can take the power of conversion of a liquefied gas, mainly Freon, which never wears out, then turning it from a liquid to a gas state. We capture the expansion to generate momentum, then convert the action to a horsepower, then take that horsepower and make electricity by powering a generator. From our estimations, there is a 400% increase of volume when a gas expands from a liquid to a gas. And this transformation happens violently and quickly. The process is rather simple, yet it's complicated because the gas has to be condensed and reliquefied. We believe that this process could go a long way to eliminating the need for petroleum as a unit for propulsion or to generate electricity in the world. Well, Melody said, finally, someone's taken this problem with oil seriously. Duke smiled. Well, we're close. Not there yet, but we're real close. Lynette sat looking at the bearskin rug. Duke, what's the story behind that big bearskin rug? Well, Duke said, when I was growing up, I spent my summers here for as long as I can remember. Grandpa had a way with animals. He spent a lot of time feeding the birds and squirrels and skunks and raccoons and even a few deer. I always wondered what that meant. I watched the animals. They trusted Grandpa. It was like they knew that he was one with nature and were able to communicate with him. Grandpa said that there were several animals that God wanted man to communicate with, and the bear was one of them. Grandpa had this bear that he was friends with. Well, one day when we were out hiking, we heard a snap of a twig. We rounded a corner, and there was the largest bear I'd ever seen. Grandpa told me to stop and do not move a muscle. Grandpa and the bear just stood there looking at each other. I watched the bear look at Grandpa, and I noticed that Grandpa and the bear were apparently talking. This bear somehow knew that Grandpa was not a threat and was one with nature. The bear gently grunted and then just lumbered away. Several weeks later, just before the end of summer, we were out hiking, talking, enjoying the autumnal season. We heard another snap of a twig and thought it was our bear. I wanted to see that large, gentle beast. We walked around the corner, saw a large mountain lion with an unnatural look to his eye. The room was quiet. No one moved as Duke talked. See, Grandpa had sensed the same thing. He whispered, do not turn your back on that animal. Quietly, calmly walk backward. Walk away from this beast. Then I saw the cat lower its ears, crouched, ready to attack. I remember it like it was yesterday. Grandpa's bear came running out of the woods, stood between us and the mountain lion. That bear stood on its own hind legs, growling and roaring. The mountain lion stepped back, cowered down, and ran off, knowing that it was no match for that 1,200-pound bear. Once again, the bear and Grandpa shared a moment that told me they had a connection. The next summer, when I was with Grandpa, the Schroeder gang crossed the mountain and were doing some hunting on Grandpa's land. Grandpa told them to get off and stay off his land. They were not welcome there. The following year, when I came back to Grandpa's cabin, I found that things were the same, yet things were somehow different. It was like Grandpa had changed, become someone different. Yet he was the same. I just don't know how to explain it. Well, late one night, one dark night, we heard a loud snap and echoes of a painful, growling howl. Grandpa and I ran outside. We didn't know where we were going. We followed the sounds to where our bear was. We found our gentle beast, his left paw cut and bleeding due to the massive metal jaws of that bear trap. Grandpa stood there and soothing the bear. Without thinking, I grabbed the trap and spread open the jaws. The bear's paw came out of the trap. Its paw was cut wide open and bleeding. Grandpa told me to run down to the creek and get some of that mud from the creek bed. Dig way down deep, get the rich, mucky mud. I ran as fast as I could into the creek, filled my cupped hands with as much mud as I could carry, then ran back to Grandpa. He covered the bear's paw with that rich, dark creek mud. Well, Grandpa and that bear had another moment. Then I watched as the bear limped away. Several weeks later, Grandpa and I met that bear again. Its paw was healing nicely. The three of us shared a strong connection. That was the first time I had experienced communicating with an animal. Grandpa stood back and smiled, knowing that I was the one who was going to protect the secret that he had been given. The feud between Grandpa and the Schroeders started with the bear. They had been caught hunting on Grandpa's land, and the town told them to get off and stay off. This made the Schroeder clan even madder. They never understood where Grandpa got all that money to buy the land, or what made him so special that he could tell them what they could do and what they could not do. After all, they had been on that mountain long before Grandpa got there, and they thought they had a right to hunt wherever they wanted to. One day when I was serving overseas, I got a message from Grandpa that his friend had died. Grandpa said that he walked out in the forest one day, found his friend lying on the ground. He loved that bear as much as I did, and he decided to keep the bearskin as a reminder of the times, the friendship and devotion they shared with each other. When the townspeople heard that the bear had died, they made a wooden statue of the bear and placed it in the town's general store. The wooden statue is a tribute to the meanest but kindest beast the forest had ever seen.